Let's take a look at how to play the Jigsaw puzzles at justjigsawpuzzles.com. You can play Jigsaw puzzles here in any modern web browser. You don't need any special plugins or extensions. The main page shows you today's featured Jigsaw puzzle image, and if you scroll down you'll see the featured images from the last week. There are other ways to find images to play as well. We'll look at those later. What you want to do before you play a game is you want to make sure your browser is taking up as much screen space as you can. The larger the browser window, the better the gameplay will be. So I'm going to stretch this window here so it fills the entire screen. Then I'm going to select a puzzle. I'm just going to click on it and we'll load the game up. Now before you start, there's some choices you can make at the top. These are game options that can only be set before you start playing. The size option allows you to set the size of the image. So we can do very small to very large. The auto setting though will set the puzzle image based on the amount of screen space you've provided. You can also set the number of pieces. For an easier puzzle you can set it very low, and you can see here the puzzle pieces cut out and there's only 20 of them. Now there's about 200 of them. The number is approximate because it is an even grid, so it's not going to be exactly 200, but we'll be close to that number. You can also choose the edge type. So you can choose from many edges, like a hard line like that, a nice light bevel, a darker bevel, a thick black line, white line, dots, or a thin white line. The default is light bevel. Then you also get to choose a shape. This shape here is the default shape. It's the one most people seem to like. But you can choose one that has straighter corners, gradually curving, more randomness, more curves. Or you can actually just choose a perfectly square piece. Let's stick with the default for this. So once you have everything that you want, you can click Start Game. To play, all you need to do is click and drag the pieces. You drag and release where you want the piece to remain. And you try to find pieces that match. Anytime you pick up a piece, it's going to move ahead of the other pieces. When you make a match, they lock into place. And you can see you've got one piece here instead of two, although you can still see the edge. Basically, you keep matching pieces until the entire puzzle is together. There are some things to help you do this. You can go to Arrange Pieces here, and you can decide to move everything to the bottom edge. Notice that connected pieces will remain where they were. You can go top edge, left edge, or right edge. You can also have them move but be spaced out. So I can move them in a grid to the bottom. Now I can see all the pieces clearly. You can also just decide to scatter them everywhere. So if you're having trouble, you could always scatter again and they'll go to random locations. You can also have them scattered to the right side or to the bottom. Some other things you can change while you're playing is the background. So you can use the default here, or you can change to something, say like this pattern or this pattern, and then you can choose colors. There's some color selections here, but you can also choose custom and then click on a color there. You can go back to default anytime you want. Other game options include being able to focus only on edges, and you can see all the other pieces are faded back and you can't select them. But you can select just the edge pieces, which is how a lot of people like to put together the puzzles. You can also do the opposite and do non-edges. You can look at the picture and then you can drag this around to put it somewhere where you're not using. You can even click here to enlarge it and click the X to dismiss it. If you don't want to have the sound on, you can turn it off. You can also give up and decide to solve the puzzle. If you're using the timer there, you can pause and then notice the timer stops until you hit resume. You can save and exit, and then you get a continue button next to the play button, which will continue the game with all the current options. and you can pick up where you left off. You can also restart the puzzle from scratch, or if you want to give up, you just select Solve. Let's go back to the main screen and take a look at some of the options here. In addition to the last week's featured puzzles, you could also go to a calendar that shows you puzzles further back, but you can also search for any puzzle you want. You can search the entire database. So for instance, if you'd like to play a puzzle that shows a waterfall, you can search for waterfall and you can see some that come up here. You can select it and play that image. You can also sign up here to receive an email every day that tells you what the daily puzzle is and gives you a link directly to it. The email is completely free, as is the entire website. You don't even need an account of any kind. You can just go to justjigsawpuzzles.com anytime you like, play a puzzle.